Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 3, Episode 21. We are the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And tonight on the Elk Season Podcast.
Okay, elk make an appearance. We're getting pretty close to elk season.
How many days? Sorry, 28?
28 days.
28 days.
So elk versus landowners. Oh my gosh. Landowners.
Yeah.
Elk versus landowners. Wow, I'm still getting... Elk versus landowners. Elk poaching. We're going to talk about trekking pole guide. We've talked about trekking poles before.
Yes, we have.
Still haven't convinced you to pick up a pair, but
yeah.
Wildcat, ticks and toxoplasmosis, elk versus deer stag.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
And our number 2 story is fox poop. I'm sorry, our last story. The story bringing out the back end is about fox poop. Anyway, all that and more on the Elk Season Podcast. If I could just stop tripping up on that introduction, that would be amazing.
Yeah, whatever.
You know.
Yeah, anyway.
28 days. Are you ready?
I am more ready than I was last week. I told you about some of the workouts I've been doing. I have been grueling for the entire month of July. I have reeled in my diet and have been very much increased my activity level in the month of July.
Who knew if you eat less and yet you work more physically, you lose weight?
It's like a secret.
Yeah.
So don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty good. I have a fitness competition coming up in a few weeks. I'm working out. I'm working out with some absolute beasts from the gym, and they're the one I went hunting with. He's your age, so he's 43, and today he destroyed me in the gym, and the 37-year-old counterpart, who's a young, big guy too. Anyways, so we got destroyed. Had a good time. And all of it is, of course, prep for elk season. So last time I went out with Lance during elk season. So the guy, my workout partner, is a guy I've elk hunted with.
Yeah,
so,
I've noticed that I'm getting in better conditioning. I do a lot of elliptical, a lot of cardio, and I keep increasing the resistance. So the resistance. Wow, my language skills today. Out the door. Maybe it's because I had 2 beers before this. You didn't know about the first one.
You had a beer before me?
Yeah. I hadn't heard from you. And so I texted you earlier in the week and never heard back from you.
I know.
And so I was like, I don't know if he's coming, so I'll just have a beer. And then you got here and I was like, well, I better offer him a beer and better drink one with him. And so that's probably why my brain's a little in flux today. But the resistance, so you get on that. I was talking about increasing the resistance. And when I start, I started off at a certain number and I've gone up like 3 or 4 numbers in the last month as I've continued to condition. That's a sign that I'm increasing that strength because I get to a point where I'm like, well, this feels like it's on a lower number.
Yeah.
You got to increase that resistance. So it's been good.
Good. And it's coming down to it.
Yeah.
It's coming down to it. So elk season is 28 days away. And I've been seeing lots of posts of big bulls in velvet everywhere. So that's on my scroll. And I had some I didn't show you because otherwise we'd just be talking about big bulls in velvet everywhere.
Yeah, it's but we also know where to go see big bulls in velvet.
Yeah, we do. We've seen big bulls in velvet this year.
Yeah, we did. So they weren't big yet, but you could tell.
Oh,
they were going to get there.
One was bigger than the other.
Oh yeah,
and that was surprising.
We've talked a lot about hunting in private lands. One of my favorite stories we've covered in the last couple seasons was the corner crossing
issue. Yeah,
but there's another issue that came up that I wasn't aware of that I came across earlier this week in Montana, and had to do with Montana private landowners.
Yeah,
upset with the elk management in Montana, claiming the elk management system is failing the numbers. They have too high numbers still.
Right.
And they say they have too high numbers because the elk are getting onto their property and causing a lot of damage.
Okay.
So Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and there's another entity, I can't remember quite the name, but the article I read talked about Montana Fish, Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and then this other conservation group. They offer resources for landowners privately to have, hunters come on and help out, or extra tags, things like that. So a landowner can't just go out and cull the animals on their property.
Right.
And so a group of landowners apparently have sued the state of Montana for not managing the elk populations better. But an appeals court judge said, look, you had opportunities to voluntarily to pull into the systems that they offer to help you manage that, and you didn't.
Right.
So your argument is invalid, kind of thing. So this, I'm kind of paraphrasing and loosely quoting the article, but ultimately it's just a matter. The headline just says, Montana judge says landowners don't have absolute freedom to kill elk, and allowing public hunting doesn't infringe on their rights. So part of their argument to the court was, look, they said we could voluntarily be a part of their system, but you'd have to allow hunters on your land. Well, allowing hunters on our land infringes on our rights. But the judge says because it was voluntary,
well, yeah, it's not an infringement.
It doesn't infringe, but you chose not to access that resource. So, interesting to see where that'll go.
Yeah. So here's a question to think about. What is damage? What kind of damage do elk do on a ranch? Do they just destroy the grasses?
It's probably a myriad of things. So if you have a ranch, you might have fencing around hay. You might have riparian zones on your creeks. There's probably somewhere that's a starting point. I'm not. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. No, I don't know.
And I don't remember.
If you do, please comment below.
Yes, but the landowners want 50,000 elk to be removed from the population of Montana.
Wow,
that's not an insignificant number.
That is not, because from what I recall, Montana's elk population is very similar to Idaho's.
Yeah.
So Idaho has about 130,000 elk, and 50,000 is a lot.
Yeah, that pulls the numbers way down.
Yeah. And Montana does have more elk, but still, Oregon has more at 160,000.
Wow.
Oregon has more elk than Montana.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So, and it's also important to note, and I've said it many times, that Colorado has more elk than Idaho and Montana put together.
Yeah.
Which is over 300,000 elk in the state of Colorado for now.
For now, yeah. The wolves are coming. So it'll be interesting to see if that goes anywhere else. But I think it was, I feel like, at least from my perspective, because I'm not a landowner or private landowner in Montana that has these concerns, it feels appropriate. But I don't want to, maybe there are some legitimate concerns that need to be addressed differently, perhaps, with those private landowners in Montana.
You know what? I feel like the Fish and Game, in especially in the western states, Intermountain Northwest, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, they work extensively with landowners.
Yeah, as long as you're willing to work with them.
Yeah. They've always. So
and we've come.
So
across,
I think this is a good call, and my ears perked up real quick when you talked about elk management in the state. I go, I want to see how this goes.
Yeah.
Right? Because are they mismanaging it? And they're not. Because a part of managing elk is the hunting population.
And that's something we talk about.
The human population hunting elk is a part of the management program.
Yeah.
And if you don't allow that, then you are not allowing the elk to be managed properly.
Correct. I would argue with that.
So that's where I felt right where this is going, and I feel very good that's a fine opinion by the judge.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it would be any different. I just wondered, again, this is hard for me to say because I'm very limited in scope of my understanding of what's been tried. But as we continue to go forward, and I would imagine that Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks and every other Fish, Wildlife, and Parks division across the 50 states is actively seeking new, novel ways to meet the needs of both public and private landowners. I guess to help manage wildlife. So we'll see where it goes. I really don't know where else I was going to go with that. But in the world of elk, just real quick, just to bring it up, if you see something, say something when it comes to poaching. And that's usually how poachers are caught. Somebody says something. So keep that up. It's you're not narking. You're not ratting anybody out. But a poacher in California illegally shot 4 elk on some federally protected land and left them to rot, which is pretty rotten. And so to be a lowlife like that.
Yeah, that's pretty crappy to do that.
So anyway, not to bring it down, had an up and then down, but
that's a bummer. Poachers are a bummer.
But we're not going to be poaching here in 28 days.
Yeah, we're getting close.
I need to go retrieve my tags. Actually,
we're getting close. Well, I look at 28 days. You go, well, I don't think we'll be out there on opening day. So we'll be out there a week after opening day, the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Oh, that's right.
So we're a little more than 28 days away, but that's okay.
No. Labor Day is on a Monday.
I know. So like the 8th or the 7th.
It's the 1st, isn't it? Let's look. I'm now curious.
I had my phone, but
where
my
could I
phone's up
find
there.
a calendar? Go.
Yeah, maybe I misread it.
There's a calendar right here. Yeah, the 31st is a Saturday.
Okay, so Labor Day weekend is the 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's literally the opening day is on a Friday.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay, we'll be there. We'll be there in 28 days.
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Hoorah.
The clock is ticking.
Yes. Anyway.
Right on.
I saw that right. Hold on. Was I going? Yes, I was going to the right. Yeah. Yeah. Monday, Labor Day the 2nd.
Okay. I don't know what month I was looking at. If I went backwards instead of forwards or something.
In a weird way, I was like, "Oh, I'll have an extra week to prep."
Well, yeah.
But now,
yeah, and I was thinking having Labor Day be later, because sometimes it is on the 6th, right? It's the first Monday of September is Labor Day. So sometimes it can be the 6th. Or can it be the 7th?
Yeah.
No, it can only be the 6th.
Well, we've been exercising, getting ready. Something that you know that I've used for a long time. I've been talking to you about them. Trekking poles.
Yeah.
And so you showed me a video of, are you using them right? And for the most part, yeah. Just a couple things that I could improve upon.
But I learned a couple things too.
Yeah.
A couple of, I think, probably important things.
Yeah.
Number one was just, you feel natural with your arms at a 90-degree angle. That's where they're supposed to help you. I didn't know you were supposed to plant them right next to your feet. Right? That's what they said. You're giving extra support to that step. So right arm, right foot, and it should be 3-4 inches away from that foot.
So I'm going to have to pay attention because now I'm thinking.
I know.
Because I don't think I've been doing that.
Yeah, I know. I stick them everywhere. This feels good over here, over there when I use them, and then to have them to keep that 90-degree angle, you have to have them longer going downhill and shorter going uphill.
Yeah, I
never even thought about that.
Yeah. But they seem valid, so I'll have to be trying those out.
Yeah, it was good info. So,
and then our next spot, you showed me a crazy video of a wildcat. Outline.
Yeah,
going, I don't know, vertical, like it's
there's some good trail cams out there. I don't need to work hard at all to convince people that cats are killing machines. They are deadly. Domesticated house cats kill 4 billion songbirds a year in the United States. They are lethal. And there are many, many countries that have restrictions on house cats for that reason. They're not allowed outdoors. Give me a long time before those laws get to Idaho, which is okay. But places with a lot of houses and a lot of house cats back east, those house cats can really, really do some damage on an ecosystem. And this cat here is taking out a bird. It's just a bigger cat and a bigger bird.
It's a turkey, isn't it?
Yeah. And a mountain lion.
Yeah. Lethal.
Yeah. And
absolutely cool video. Though.
And what's cool to me is that it's not very often you see a turkey fly.
No.
Turkeys are pretty much on the ground. And the turkey flew and went straight up, but that mountain lion could leap just as high as that turkey could fly and brought that turkey down. And so it was a trail camera, but both the turkey and the mountain lion were completely off screen in the leap.
That's awesome.
And the mountain lion came down. It was like,
wow. I never think to capture videos. You obviously have done that the entire time we've been doing this. Because I saw a video that had a turkey involved with another different predator.
Yeah.
And it had to do with a hawk. So I don't know what you call it, a turkey mom with all its little babies. I don't know if it's like a clutch of turkeys.
I'm not sure.
So this turkey is going into a bush and it's leading all these. There's like 7 or 8 turkey babies, and then all of a sudden a hawk comes out of nowhere. But the turkey actually chases off the hawk and actually takes flight in a way that you just don't expect a turkey to do.
Wow.
So to see the turkey go so high.
Wow, we talked about that last week with the buffalo defending their young.
Yeah.
And there's another phenomenon that happens sometimes at my house in the spring where a robin continuously attacks my windows. You ever had that?
No.
Robins continuously attack my windows, and it's because they see their reflection.
Oh.
So I also saw a video of this week of a turkey attacking a car because it was a nice, shiny new car.
And you want a Cybertruck.
And the turkey can go ahead. It's not gonna scratch up a Cybertruck like it's scratching up a Nissan.
No.
Okay. And this poor lady there were scratch marks all up and down. And you can just see a male bird thinks that's another male bird, doesn't think it of as himself. So, like same with the robin, the turkey just thinks it's another male bird and is trying to attack it, and even will jump and claw at the door of the car.
A lot of animals react that way in a mirror situation.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Just go look up those jungle mirrors they put up and watch the apes come along.
Oh yeah.
They're like, hey, what's this other ape group doing?
I've seen them do it with bears too. Mm-hmm. Bears freak out. It's a big surprise.
Let's talk about ticks.
Oh, tick stories all my life. Tick stories. Never been bit by a tick. I told you some pretty good tick stories today.
Yeah. Ticks are pretty gross.
And there's some regional diseases that come from it.
Yes.
And there's one of the guys from the gym that we work out with got bit by a tick. They think it's Lyme disease. They still don't know. It's a weird, retrovirus kind of thing.
You're right. Now that you've brought that up, I've run into a few people who are like, yeah, we went somewhere, we came back, and we're different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed their life.
And there's this
after a tick bite, that is. So.
Yeah, there's a parasite that causes you to be allergic to meat, like red meat.
Yeah, something in the last few years that's really come to the surface, and it's made me go, please no, please don't.
And of course, Lyme disease.
Lyme disease is a big one.
And like I said, when I was growing up, Rocky Mountain spotted fever was spread by ticks, and that was the big warning. And anytime I grew up so deprived of camping that anytime anybody mentioned the thought of the outdoors or camping, my ears pricked up real quick, and I'm like, let's talk outdoors. So anytime somebody told a tick story, I was listening. And I remember Rocky Mountain spotted fever being a thing. I remember being out with the scouts a lot when I was a kid, and hardly ever even seeing ticks.
Yeah, I've seen them up hunting a couple times, but
have you?
It's not in a regular. I've flicked them off or seen them and kind of like brushed them away. But
yeah, not very common. But man, if there's one thing that scares me in the woods, it's not the bears and the wolves
or Sasquatch.
It's the ticks, man. it's the vampires. So, yeah. And this is a new one. This is an eye bleeding disease.
Oh yeah. So where we were going with that is there's an eye bleeding
terminal
disease.
Eye bleeding disease.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Just to get everybody up to speed on
I don't even know
what to be scared of in the woods.
But yeah, it's like, hey, if your buddy comes back after a long day hiking and he's bleeding from the eyes, just get him to the ER, notify his family, or whatever that
sounds like an episode of the X-Files.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Anyway,
or really, never mind. I was going to say something dumb. I put the brakes on. Something
you
dumb.
were.
Woo. A lot of times ticks are passing on parasites and things like that. I don't know if this comes from parasite because it definitely comes from cat poo.
Yes.
Toxoplasmosis.
This comes up a lot.
We've been it's funny how much toxoplasmosis has come up on this podcast.
Toxoplasmosis, or what's it called? Toxemia? No.
Let's see. Where's the
this particular strand?
Toxoplasma gondii.
Toxoplasma gondii. Gondii or something. I don't know how to. Gondii, yeah.
I don't know why I had to say it that way. That was a non-distinct.
It's probably closer than
than
anything else we've been. So there's this great thing called toxoplasma in cat poo. When we talk about crazy cat people, we're talking about people who have lots of cats. The crazy cat lady is just an extreme example of that, who has been around enough cat poo and has this parasite in their brain. It changes the way their brain functions, and it changes the way their prey's brain function. And that's one of the priorities there, is to make their prey easier to catch. And so even cats can go out into the woods. Big mountain lions, bobcats can have the same thing, and have wolves come along, and get the same disease, because wolves want to inspect everything, and they inspect it close enough to get that parasite.
But it impacts them differently.
Yes,
as we've talked about on the podcast.
Yes, it makes them more
impulsive.
Makes them more impulsive. Makes them a little more dangerous. Yeah. And when you're a predator, and sometimes you run in a
greater
pack,
risk taker,
and those social implications are shown, and dangerous things and unpredictable things are to be feared. And so it's more likely that an alpha wolf or a leader of a pack has toxoplasmosis.
Yeah, they found some evidence of that.
Yeah. Or no, I said that wrong. It's more likely that a wolf with toxoplasmosis is the leader.
Yeah.
Not, if everybody had toxoplasmosis, it would, it would all be the same, a risk aversion scenario. Anyway, so this is something different that toxoplasmosis does to what? Your brain.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
So according to this headline, and this comes from The Sun, I'm not sure. I've read a lot of articles from The Sun. Sorry, the title wasn't quite what I remember reading a second ago. The speculation here, it's a question: what if we genetically modify cat poo parasites to cure Alzheimer's?
Right.
That's what it says. So, they're just saying it could be used to treat Alzheimer's.
Okay.
At least here in this headline, and Parkinson's. And I'd say, we need to keep an open mind with any kind of treatment, because we both know people afflicted with Alzheimer's, right?
Yeah.
And so, and historically as well, possibly. So, what can we do to make advancements in treatment? Keep an open mind and look everywhere to see what can be engineered,
right?
Because it's debilitating. It takes a lot of resources.
Yeah.
It's emotionally taxing. It is a lot to deal with. And I'm saying that from experience, from having been on the in-law side of a great uncle that died in my wife's family. And watching him progress as rapidly as he did.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw him, it gets me emotional when I think about it, because, when I first really got to know him, he couldn't speak. He was that debilitated.
Wow.
But he could sit down. He seemed to get, and I don't, going on a tangent here, but it really locks the person in their mind. Their memory's all messed up. There's plaques that are starting to build up in certain ways that are default or making the wiring faulty. But my great uncle-in-law, he still kept his essence.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I learned about from my wife's family is that he just adored his nieces and nephews, including my wife. And he always did the best to just be the best uncle he could be. He never had any children of his own, and he just was this cool uncle, And so when he was living at my in-laws' house before he was institutionalized, because they couldn't take care of him, we would go over there with our oldest. He's 17 now, but he was 9 months old and could barely walk. And he would push around one of those carts with the music and all the buttons.
Yeah.
And Uncle would come out and sit down, and he would just sit there and smile and marvel.
Yeah.
And that's all he could do. He couldn't talk. He couldn't share what his thoughts were, but he was clearly experiencing joy.
Yeah.
And so, but it progressively went much, much worse. And the last time I saw him, he was curled up. I think maybe a week before he passed, at a hospital bed here in Twin Falls, curled up as if he's in writhing pain and just taking a deep breath. And every time he exhaled, it was just,
oh, geez.
And I don't mean to get too morbid here, but that's why I think it's important to look wherever we can to see what kind of advancements we can get, because for those who are afflicted, and it's different for everybody, but there's some things that I probably said just now that you're like, oh yeah, totally get it. It's debilitating. It's horrible. So Sorry, I kind of hijacked that. But
no, that's a great illustration of why this kind of research is important. We joke about cat lady, right? We talk about the dangers of the risks wolves take because of toxoplasmosis, and clearly it affects the brain. And so it'll be interesting to see if this research goes anywhere. I don't know if we'll follow it just for the Elk Season podcast, but just because we've been talking about it recently is why I brought it up.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for letting me go on that tangent.
Yeah.
Elk versus deer stag. This kind of made my brain hurt a little bit.
Yeah. I don't have any context for where it comes from.
Yeah.
But like I said, the only place I could imagine it happening is on an elk farm with red deer.
Yeah, some sort of ranch. I mean, we talked about a ranch recently that culled all the deer because of the chronic wasting disease in Texas. So these places exist here in the United States, and I don't know if it's even in the United States.
There was a place in Montana in the 90s that had a bunch of red deer escape into the elk population, and so one of the and they can breed with elk
because they're related.
And so there's some polluted elk population in Montana.
Wow.
And they had people going out and like, hey, go look for these. If you know how to identify them, please kill them. And the red deer have a greater antler to body ratio.
Yeah.
Much bigger antlers. And in fact, in the conflict we saw, I don't know if it was 100% conflict, but the red deer was chasing the elk away.
Yeah.
And body size was much smaller.
At your first glance, you're like, there's a buck and a bull.
First thing.
And then you're like, well, that's weird. But then you quickly go, well, those antlers aren't
bucks.
aren't whitetail or muley.
Yeah.
And you go, deer stag. What's a deer stag fighting a bull elk for? But
And the red deer, one of the things I remember reading in the article back in the 90s was red deer also have a louder bugle.
It's very similar to the
it's very similar but louder.
Yeah.
And very distinct. Anyway, so it's a louder bugle, bigger antlers, and so there's I don't know how much of the population is polluted with that, but it'd be interesting to know.
Did we cover the guy? So we're just talking about ranches and stuff. Maybe that came from one of those things. The recent story, and I apologize for this wild tangent, but I think it was a guy in Montana that was raising a certain type of hybrid. I think we did a hybrid sheep.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe it was a hybrid program.
Yeah, it's weird.
because of the big antlers.
Yeah.
Right. They want it. The people really like the antlers, and if you can just provide them, a ranch with a bunch of giant antlered animals, people will pay you money to come kill them.
Yeah. I feel like I need to go. So to segue into the last story here.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else left on the table.
No. It's a perfect example. We talk about it all the time on the Elk Season podcast, where human habitation meets wildlife.
Right. So here's the thing, and I want to anthropomorphize this a little bit.
Okay.
And I hope this comes out in a way that is as satirical as it sounds in my head.
Okay.
Because, when you go to the bathroom, you have a favorite place to go, right?
Yeah.
It's your house.
Yeah.
So if somebody moved your house without telling you, or moved in and put in a golf course, you'd probably want to go to the bathroom there, right?
I probably would.
Because I kind of sense that's probably what's going on here.
I probably would anyway.
Anyway, to get back into the animal kingdom side of things, there's a fox totally using their toilet on this guy's golf ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's quite on, but it is very
pretty
close. Like, you better watch your club swing, because you could scoop up some of that.
And all I can say is play as it lies.
Yeah, that's all you can do, man. But he's literally walking up on the fox.
You get a 1-stroke penalty
as
if you don't.
As it's crouched over.
It's just like, oh my goodness.
So I thought that was a fun story.
Yeah, and that brings us to a close, really, unless there's anything else.
28 days. Get out there and just walk. Just walk.
Just whatever you can do.
Just use your legs. Walk uphill, downhill. Wear a backpack. Shoot your bow, sure, but I think being in good shape is a far better and bigger factor in the success of your elk season than your ability.
If your arrow's off a little bit, but you're only 10 yards away because you're in shape to get there, you'll be good.
Yeah, and you're not heaving and sweating profusely. That's part of those too. Anyway,
until next time. Cheers.
Goodbye.
in the morning light before dawn. Bow grip tight, heart beating strong. Through the forest, ancient giants roam. In the land where the wild calls me home. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet. In nature's beauty where the hunter and elk meet. The mountains rise, kissed by the sun. In September, where I belong, bugles echo loudly through the veil, a symphony of an ancient tale. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet. In nature's beauty where the hunter and elk meet. Silent as the morning mist, I travel on with careful grace. Every shadow, every sound surrounds me in this wild embrace. The challenge and the thrill, the patience and the skill, in the dance of life and nature, my heart's forever filled. As the sun sets, shadows long and deep, I find my place with the memories I keep. The chase and the beauty of a day gone by. Deep in the mountains, my spirit cries. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet. In nature's beauty, out where the hunter and elk meet. Here's to the wild places where the elk and I both roam. The chase that brings us closer to the place that I call home. In the stillness of the forest, in the grandeur of the land, I am one with nature's wonder, with my bow here in my hand.